Good morning and welcome to everyone. Thank you to the Sacred Circle and Indigenous Warriors Flag Group of Central California for starting us off this morning. It is a great morning, isn't it? And it is. Would like, of course, to thank all of you for being with us today for this important event and what has actually become an annual event here at City Hall to celebrate our Indigenous communities on Indigenous Peoples Day here at City Hall. I'm proud of this tradition that we've started here in the city of Fresno. 3 years ago, I sponsored with the support of the Indigenous community the first proclamation to recognize this very important day. I do want to thank my fellow council members as well as the mayor and other dignitaries for being here today to celebrate. I will not dare to try and enumerate, name off every single person. I do see Miguel Arias walking in the market. Hey, why don't you come on up? He's sitting on the grass there. There we go. Mayor Maria, good to see you. So, you know, for too long, this country and our city overlooked and failed to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day and the rich history and invaluable contributions of our Indigenous communities. But again, we ended that vicious cycle here in the city of Fresno 3 years ago when we first began to recognize and celebrate the significance of today by creating the space for our Indigenous brothers and sisters. The land that we walk on here in the city of Fresno, in the greater Central Valley, is home to many Native American communities, including, but not limited to, the Yokuts people, Mono tribe, and the Miwoks tribes. There we go. We're standing today on traditional and ancestral lands, Indigenous peoples' lands. And specifically, we will have a land acknowledgement a little later on, but I will note that specifically the land where we are standing today here at Fresno City Hall sits on the Yokuts tribal land of the Chinamni Yokuts people. Today is a celebration of Indigenous peoples and their culture. Part of that is also taking a moment to pause and remember, of course, what was here before us. If you take a look around at the diverse representation that we have here today, we have members of the Picayune Rancheria of Chichanti Indians, Choctaw, Purepecha, Apache, Cherokee Nation, Tongva, Tule River, Shingle Springs Band of the Miwok Indians, Big Sandy Rancheria, well represented, Table Mountain, Dunlap Mono, North Fork Rancheria of Mono Indians in California, and of course, members of our Mexican indigenous communities as well. We have diverse representation here with us today. We're also joined by several organizations started and run by Indigenous people for Indigenous people. Please visit them and learn about resources if you don't already know what they offer. And we also have the pleasure of being surrounded by art made by Indigenous artists. So, like I said, today is a great day. It's a good day. We were blessed with this great weather to be out here today. We're not gonna be sweating. So hold on tight. We have a short program here for you folks. In addition to myself, I would like to welcome up our Mexican consul, Adriana Gonzalez. Come on down. Say a few words. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos días. Quiero iniciar agradeciendo la participación del grupo Yostaltepetl, Corazón de un Pueblo, Danza Azteca. Gracias por esta ceremonia esta mañana. The Consulate of Mexico is grateful for the invitation to celebrate the Indigenous People Day in the U.S. I would like to share some data also regarding the multicultural and diverse Mexico we inherited. Before our independence and the formation of Mexico as a new nation, our land was inhabited by millenary cultures with knowledge and the vision of the world inherited by their ancestors. That is the main reason why we value and we are proud of our language diversity, their traditions, their contributions, mainly to the construction of the 21st century Mexico, a country where inclusion and respect for diversity are the basis of our social contract, who reach for equality and equity for everybody. Nowadays, Mexico has 78 indigenous groups and 364 mother languages, most of them transmitted orally to the new generations. On this 2023, the Mexican government gave important steps for the protection of indigenous sacred places with the aim to preserve the cultures and their values. In Fresno and California's Central Valley, we have the presence of Mexican indigenous communities such as Purépechas, Mixtecos, Zapotecos, Triquis, and Aztecas, who come from those states of Michoacán, Oaxaca, and Guerrero. They are mainly farm workers and they work on packing, process, and transport of the food we have on our tables in this country and further away from its borders. They are fundamental part of the economic success of the Central Valley and of California as the sixth world economy. The Consulate of Mexico value and recognize these important contributions. Therefore, we continue working through our counter for attention of Mexican indigenous community abroad in charge of Centro La Familia and with the representatives of the indigenous communities in order to provide them with legal orientation, services, and information to enhance their opportunities and their quality of life in this country. The last 2 years we had service fairs focused on the indigenous communities, and we transversalize our actions with the goal to reduce the vulnerabilities and the abuses they suffer. At the same time, we had worked to preserve their identity, culture, language, and traditions, because they are the soul of Mexico, a country that seeks to embrace their citizens without distinctions. I am grateful for the invitation to be part of this celebration that recognizes the indigenous communities in all the countries, and that aims to build a community that honor their culture, respect their legacy, and contribute to the shared prosperity we will inherit it to the generations to come. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Major, for celebrating this day, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Consul. Thank you. I'm a little taller than you. It was down here at my chest. I want to lift it back up. So when I arrived here just a few minutes ago, I came from the classroom and I hadn't been mingling in the crowd, but standing there for a few minutes and getting to look around, I do feel a little more comfortable enumerating the handful of dignitaries that have joined us here today. I also realized I never introduced myself. I'm City Council Member Nelson Esparza. I represent District Number 7 here at the City Hall. And behind me, we have Congressman Jim Costa, who's going to be saying a few words here shortly. We have the Mayor of Fresno, Jerry Dyer. My council colleague, Council Vice President Annalisa Pereira, as well as District 1 Council Member for the day. Micah Garrick is the 8th Council Member for today. So we're joined by Micah as well today. We have Mayor Kerman Maria Pacheco. Welcome. We have representatives from Senator Ana Caballero's office, representatives from Assemblymember Joaquin Arambila's office, and I think that will conclude my, again, short list of dignitaries. Thank you for joining us here today. We'll continue to move the program along. Again, thank you to the Consul. I know that Mexico has many indigenous populations with over 60, 70 indigenous languages spoken. So thank you for joining us here today and representing the Mexican government. Next up, please help me welcome Congressman Jim Costa.
Good morning, Fresno. Wake up. So good morning. Council Member Esperanza, thank you for bringing us all together here and for heading this up. Council Member Annalisa Correa, thank you always. Council Member Micah, Derek, Garrett, okay. He's got to make big decisions today, so. Consul General of Mexico, sus gracias. Ladies and gentlemen, it's fitting and appropriate that here in the city of Fresno, here in the San Joaquin Valley, and throughout our country, that we recognize Indigenous Peoples Day for many reasons. Native Americans have such a rich history. And what I'm going to say in my short comments is to the importance of knowing our history. And too many people in our country believe that the history of America started 400 years ago. The history of America has started thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago, with people who came together. People who developed their own sovereign nations, developed their own languages, complex, their own culture, their own set of beliefs, their own ability to manage and tender the land to ensure that it was renewable because they knew they had to live off the land, and set up communities throughout what we call today North America, whether we're talking about Mexico or the United States or Canada. But through all these areas today is a rich history that goes back thousands of years. And Consul General, I'm glad that you took the time to note the 78 different native indigenous peoples in the country of Mexico. And I'm pleased, Council Member Nelson, that's probably my buddy Nelson, the Native American tribes here in our valley. I mean, people don't realize, a lot of them, of the complexity of these individual communities that really, for over 1,000 years, made the valley their home. I mean, they were, so the land is sacred, and they treated the land that way. We've not always done the same. Those that would live in Yosemite Valley during the summer, and then when the snows would come on down to the lower lands, and then do their own form of forest management in Yosemite Valley that is today probably much better than what we're doing. Those tribes that made the San Joaquin River their home, in which there is still evidence of where they lived. So, guess what? It's important that we know our history. And that's what we're doing today. It's a reflection of the rich history and diversity, and the difficult times that Native Americans have had over the last 400 years as country that they occupied began to disappear. And there are some very sad stories. The Trail of Tears and many others that reflect dark moments in the history of indigenous peoples here in America. So the reason we celebrate this is to know our history, For as the famed philosopher poet Santana once said, for those who forget history, they are doomed to repeat it. A lot of this history we do not want to repeat. So today we recognize over 1,000 years of contributions of indigenous people to North America. We celebrate with great pride and joy your diversity and your contributions. And now, notwithstanding all the difficulty that your individual sovereign nations have endured, we hope that a better America subscribes to the fact that we need to right some of the wrongs, and that we need to remember in this very difficult time in our history that the common values we share as Americans are far stronger than whatever divides us. So let us celebrate this day with family and friends. Let us remember our history. Let us go forward to come together for a better America for all its people. And today we celebrate the indigenous people of Norte America who have made such a difference and continue. We say thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you. So every time I come back up to the microphone, I'm going to acknowledge a couple more folks that I continue to see around and recognize. Councilmember Miguel Arias, as well as Chairwoman Liz Kipp, we're also joined by them as dignitaries this morning. Let's give them a round of applause. So next portion of our program, we are going to hear a poem by a local poet. I'd like to invite Noel Aguilar to come on down and write the poem. Thank you.
A little shorter. Is that good? Everyone hear me good? Okay. Mi hija Netonya ni Noel no Nekichkoinde. Hello, my name is Noel. I'm Tongva and Apache. I'm Tongva on my father's side, Apache on my mother's side. I'm currently a Fresno State student studying sociology and American Indian Studies, and I plan to become a licensed clinical social worker. So today, let's talk just a bit about reality and what reality looks like for Indigenous peoples. Reality is when I leave my house in fear every day, because Indigenous women are murdered 10 times more than any other ethnicity. Reality is knowing that 55.5%, which is more than half of Indigenous women, have been physically abused by their intimate partners in their lifetime, which I can attest to myself being a domestic violence survivor. Reality is I have to pay close attention to my 10-year-old son's overall wellness, because Native youth, ages 10 to 24, suicide is the second leading cause of death, which is alarming because it's 3 times higher than the national rate. We are forced to accept the reality that our Native boys may face untimely deaths that are violence related 75% of the time, which includes both homicides and suicides. Our reality is showered in generational traumas derived from colonization, assimilation, the mission system, the residential boarding schools, the foster care system, institutionalized racism, and generations of slow and painful suicide through drug and alcohol abuse that stems from it all. With that said, for Indigenous peoples, the political will always be personal, and the personal will always be political. I stand here today speaking from the heart, in hard truths and in honor. I stand here today without fear, and in solidarity with all Indigenous acts of resistance and resilience in a colonial world. We are a peaceful people who walk with prayer. We are not our generational traumas. We are the cycle breakers. So I thank the Creator for allowing me to share this message through poetry today. It is definitely a good day to be Indigenous. I titled this one, My Mother, My Earth, My People. Her blood flows like the rivers run through. Her heart beats with the sound of the drum flowing too. I am her, she is me, and so are you. We survived genocide. We are alive, but we are not free. Constitution reads, we the people. Who, I ask? Not me. Again, the Constitution reads, merciless Indian savages. I welcome you to the birth of stereotypes and inaccuracies. You say we? No, not me. You ripped her from the root. You ripped her roots from the ground. Stole the land just to say it was Columbus found. But I can hear her scream. I can feel her shame. Can you see her anger, her hurt, her fear, her pain? You know, something that feels like climate change. We decolonize, speak our minds, indigenize, and still we cannot find justice. Knocking with fists of fury on liberty's door, this is for the missing, the murdered, our stolen people you've ignored. We say no more. Can you hear us now? We are not one, but many. Call me indigenous, native, the Indian, and proud. Come and sit with Grandfather Rocks, sweat out the trauma, reclaim identity and gather medicines from traditional pharma. My relatives, my relations, I stand in truth, with her blood, his blood, and their blood too. You are your ancestors' prayers, the seventh generation continues. I say, Eshehem, my mother, my birth, my people, thank you. Aho, all my relations.
Thank you, Noel. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So next up, we'll invite our favorite mayor of the city of Fresno, our only mayor of the city of Fresno, Mayor Jerry Dyer.
Thank you, Nelson. I appreciate you very much. And it is so good to be the mayor of the 9th most diverse city in the nation. And it is, as I look across this group today, this is a part of Fresno, one Fresno. And so thank you very much for allowing me to serve as your mayor. This is a holiday that celebrates and honors Native American people and commemorates their history and their cultures. The contributions of the Native American people here in Fresno cannot be overstated. Those are integral in the fabric of our city. Those contributions are. Today we take the time to honor our diverse history, both here in Fresno and across the nation, and to recognize the indigenous people who shaped it, shaped our country, shaped our state, and shaped our city. I see it as a day to mark the indigenous people's resilience and contributions to societies across the Americas, especially here in the United States, even as they faced assimilation, discrimination, forced relocation, and threats to their society and long-held beliefs. It is also a chance for non-Native Americans to learn about Native American communities and gain a better understanding of one another. I think oftentimes the fact that we miscommunicate, the fact that we prejudge, is what causes the problems that we face today in our country, not only at the federal level, but the local level as well. As the mayor of this city, I want the Native American community to know that you have my full support. You have our full support here at City Hall. We are with you, and we thank you for all that you have done and all that you will do in the future as you continue to be a part of One Fresno. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your words this morning. Before we move on to the land acknowledgement, I did want to also invite Reina Picasso up to the microphone, and she'll be singing a song for us. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Welcome.
Helet halishma, hoyo wishnim Reina, and yana wishnim washith batap choy. Good morning, my name is Reina Picasso. My Chinamni name is Little Butterfly. I'm honored to be here today. I'm from the local Chinamni tribe. I want to acknowledge my elders that are here today. My grandmother, Jean Oliver Sarando over there. She's one of our last fluent speakers. I'm also here with my Auntie Michelle, my family over there, Maggie, Angelique. I also have other elders, Audrey Osborne and Rick Osborne. This is my family where I've learned. And it's just great to be here to represent our people in our area today. I want to acknowledge our local tribes, Big Sandy Rancheria, Cold Springs Rancheria, Tachi, Wukchumni, Yolumni. Hope I got all of them. We've got a lot of tribes around here. Thank you. Chukchansi, I heard you. Mono. Chukchansi Mono. So I'm going to sing a song, and it's one that I've composed. I've been honored and blessed to be around my elders that practice our culture and taught me. So this song comes from the heart, and it's just to give thanks and blessings. You know, normally this day growing up has always been a day of mourning, and it still is. But this helps a little bit with healing, getting us together and sharing songs. So thank you for all that efforts behind this today. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Reina. Thank you, thank you. I really like Reina's shirt. And I'd like to thank Reina for recognizing some of the tribes that I missed earlier. As you had noted, it's difficult to cover everyone, remember everyone off the top of your head, just like it is to remember all the elected officials' names off the top of your head. But thank you. So at this time, I'd like to invite Chairwoman Liz Kipp up to the microphone. She'll be conducting our land acknowledgement, recognizing that we stand today on Indigenous soil. Welcome.
Manahoo, everybody! Woo! Let's hear it! As I was introduced, I'm Elizabeth Kipp. I'm the tribal chair at Big Sandy Rancheria. And at this point, I'd really like to have a moment of silence for my dear aunt, who has been a warrior in our community for a number of years, Beverly Hunter with Table Mountain Rancheria. She unfortunately had passed away. But also of the recent news of Gilbert Davis from Chukchansi, from Picayune, who also passed away. So this time I'd like to just acknowledge those two individuals, including those that I did not mention. It's been a real tough go for many families in the past years, well, for many years. But please, let's have a moment of silence and have everyone in their prayers. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I stand before you in total honor and privilege as, I don't see myself as an elder. So I deferred the land acknowledgement to my elder, Audrey. And Audrey said, no, you let Liz do it. So here I am. I don't think I'm an elder, but looking at a lot of the young ones, and I guess I'm getting there, okay? But with that being said, support so many words that were shared here this morning because it's all in just true honesty and from the heart. And from the heart is what I'm going to do today. It takes many years, many years to be able to stand here before each and every one of you and have an Indigenous Day. Many people before us fought day and night and every second of their life so that we can stand here before us, so we never ever forget our ancestors. For many years, and it's kind of ironic to me in a sense that with the people of this nation, the first people of this nation, still today have to fight for everything we have, whether it be water, whether it be land, whether it be our children, whether it be, you name it, our culture. And it's a sad that we have to fight so much, but it's an honor to be able to recognize those warriors that do it every day. This land means so much to many of us, and non-natives as well. You think about how the culture is in our today of being. You see the young children running around here, even those who are dancing today, to be able to, remember and be taught their culture. And they can turn the quarter and they're on their iPad or their iPod or whatever you want to call it. It's the day and age of technology that we really need to put down and focus on our children, because that technology is not going to teach our children anything. We need to do that. We need so much more teachings for our children so that we can prevent them from taking avenues that many of us had. We're not telling them what to do, but we're just showing them the road and which avenue to take, right? With the number of tribes here in the San Joaquin Valley, up into the mountains, East Fresno, Madera, Merced, you name the county, all the way up and down California. Here in our local area, we always refer to the Mono, we always refer to the Yokut, we refer to the Chukchansi, we refer to the Miwok. But what about the other tribes? What about the Kasans? What about the Gashawans? What about the Wapchoini? What about the Choinumni? What about all these other tribes, the Pohonichi? You have these other tribes that have basically been surviving in this valley for a number of years. But due to how the creation of titles and recognition, we've been lumped into either Yokut, Mono, Chukchansi, Miwok. Let's not forget those true tribes that were here in our valley, especially across not only the San Joaquin River, but all rivers, the Kern River, the Delta, all the way up through across our nation. The one thing I want to be able to finalize and say is that being in front of everybody today, as a tribal leader from my tribe, I just want everyone to know that we do our very, very best. And you don't have to be a tribal leader to say this, but continually fight for those rights of every Indigenous person. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Chairwoman. So this last Thursday, just a few days ago, we presented formally the Indigenous Peoples Day proclamation at our city council meeting for, I believe it was the third consecutive year, acknowledging our colonial past and celebrating the preservation of Indigenous culture. I was proud then, and I'm proud today to present this proclamation to Tani Lavelle, who is CEO of the Wyatt Warrior Society. And the Wyatt Warrior Society, for those of you who don't know, is doing great work, providing resources to Indigenous communities in the foothills that may not have great access to resources, and we really appreciate their efforts. And that's the primary reason why we are recognizing their organization and present the proclamation to them this particular year. So I would like to invite both Tani and as well as Dr. Navarro to come on up and please accept the proclamation. Come on down. All right, so Tani's a little shy, but we're gonna have Dr. Navarro come on down and say a few words of welcome.
All right, just want to say thank you to everybody who put together this beautiful Indigenous Peoples Day event. I'd like to thank all of our local politicians and Mayor Dyer for coming on board with this celebration. You know, back in the day, not that long ago, we couldn't do something like this. We couldn't celebrate who we were as Indigenous peoples. And we have really amazing people like Tawanish Wyatt and the foundation, the Wyatt Warrior Foundation, that is out in the community doing the hard work that Liz spoke of earlier, working with our communities, all the communities, the recognized, the unrecognized, bringing our communities together in solidarity, which is what we need in these really crazy times. And that's really what the Wyatt Warrior Foundation is all about. And it's just really, it's an honor to be able to come up here and say a few words on behalf of the foundation. And I want everybody to recognize Tawanish for all her hard work. She is kind of shy, doesn't like to speak, but everybody knows the hard work that she does each and every day, the hard work that she does for ICWA, for our children. Ensuring that they stay within our communities, not being afraid to reach out to the people who need to, be talked to about these issues, not just Indigenous Peoples Day, but MMIW, right? The health crisis that we see in our communities, the suicide crisis, but not only that, but the really beautiful things that we have in our community as well. And so when I think of Indigenous Peoples Day and I think of the Wyatt Warrior Foundation, when I think of celebrating who we are as Indigenous people, celebrating our cultures, celebrating our communities and the fact that we're strong and we're resilient. And I think that's the greatest way to decolonize, is to be happy and to smile, right? Every day, in my view, every single day is Indigenous Peoples Day. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody. It's a beautiful event. I'm going to take home this really wonderful energy to my family and all my friends. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I do want to read the actual proclamation for. We had it read into the record on Thursday by the city clerk, but I'll invite the mayor to come on up here and go to read it from start to finish for us here today.
All right. I'll do my best. I don't have my glasses on. No, I'm good. I'm going to skip the whereas portions, but I am going to read the narrative. We deeply honor and celebrate the rich heritage and invaluable contributions of Indigenous peoples, especially paying homage to the Yokuts and Mono communities and all the others, the original peoples of the Central Valley. And in moments where society might attempt to spotlight our differences, we in Fresno and the surrounding area recognize our true strength lies in the rich diversity of our collective histories. And the tribes of the Central Valley have faced challenges throughout generations, but have stood firm against the structure of settler colonialism. Their brilliance and stewardship and ecological knowledge created a land rich in cultural or natural resources. This land we call the Central Valley and Sierra foothills has housed and fed millions. And we are thankful for all First Nations and their contributions, and unequivocally support the sovereignty and self-determination of the Yokuts and Mono tribes, recognizing they have the right to self-governance, protect their sacred lands, and practice their life ways. And on Indigenous Peoples Day, we honor the resilience and immense contributions Yokuts and Mono peoples have made to the state of California. We reaffirm our commitment to upholding our solemn trust and treaty responsibilities to tribal nations, further strengthening our nation-to-nation ties. And on this day, we reflect on the attempted genocide of California natives, understanding that tribal peoples challenge all of us to confront our past and do better. We must commit to understanding our colonial history, the broken treaties, and forced assimilation policies, ensuring a brighter future for the 7th generation and beyond. And embracing the spirit of Indigenous freedom, we urge every resident to pause, reflect, and truly appreciate the tenacity and spirit of all First Nations. Now, therefore be it resolved that Councilmember Nelson Esparza, the Fresno City Council, and Mayor Jerry P. Dyer do hereby proclaim the 5th of October 2023 as Indigenous Peoples Day in the city of Fresno.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. The test to your vision. We're coming up here on the about the hour mark or so. It's starting to smell really good, and so I'm going to go ahead and close us out. I want to thank everyone again for attending our annual Indigenous Peoples celebration here at City Hall. Again, please visit some of the organizations and vendors that we have here today. The vendor that we are smelling in the air right now is Intertribal Tacos. We have them here with us serving up Indigenous tacos. So I'll invite you all to grab a bite to eat, and of course, if we would allow our elders to go on up first and grab a bite for lunch. But again, thank you all. Thank you to all those who were part of making today happen, and look forward to doing this again the following year. And as we heard from Dr. Navarro, and away every day is Indigenous Peoples Day. So thank you.